Hey, welcome to the Kinda Sleepy Podcast. I'm your host, Knowledge, and who do I have sitting to my left?
Miss EP in the building.
The voice of reason today?
You know, we just gonna leave that at a possible. You know, it's like spades.
Okay. Who do I got sitting to my right?
Y'all already know who it is. It's your boy, Tenaro Reed, a.k.a. Natty, bad tattoo, dreadlock owner, operator of Slaughterhouse Tattoos, and Mr. a.k.a. helping you look better naked in the building.
Hey, you got a pretty big deal coming up soon, man.
Yeah, man.
This thing you got going on. Tell me about it.
Man, I'm looking forward to it, man. They actually having the first Queen City Tattoo and Arts Festival within the city. You know, they usually have like a tattoo convention every year, but it's like out in bumfuck Egypt somewhere. So
Right.
you know what I mean? So they actually having the first tattoo convention within the city, so which allows a lot more people to be able to attend and a lot more artists, man. It's actually they had I think 80 nationally accredited guest artists.
Nice.
And they only selected like 60 artists from the city, and your boy made the cut.
Hey.
That's what's up, man.
And that snaggy. Boy, you ought to see my banner though.
So
it's
what
funky.
happens like at the festival? Like what?
Basically, it's like a big hair convention.
Oh.
You know what I mean? You know, you have different, like a lot of artists that you can't get in contact with because they might be, because you have artists out here who'll be booked up for years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And you have, and artists like that, it's hard to get in contact with. It's hard to get close to. And it allow other artists to see those people level of work, see how they do things. And then, they have different seminars and, they have different magazine exposures. They have different vendors, So it's like a big ass tattoo party.
Oh.
Yeah, it should
Nice.
be. It's gonna be dope though, cause I ain't gonna lie. Like the lineup that they have, I'm talking, man. There's some phenomenal artists gonna be there, man. So it's gonna be like some real nice live body art to take a look at, man. It's gonna be phenomenal to see those guys work. So, and including myself.
I'm looking forward to checking it out, man.
Yeah,
Definitely
man.
come
It's gonna be
through.
dope, man. It's gonna be real dope.
So are you gonna actually be doing tattoos?
Yeah, man.
At the convention?
I'm already booked up for Friday and Saturday.
For the convention?
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Yeah. I said I was gonna work on Sunday, but I might just be like, pass the liquor, dog. Just pass the liquor.
So I get to set up at your booth with
You already
with a couple
know it.
shots.
Oh,
Right.
you already know it. I got a cooler with speakers and wheels on it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a big tattoo party, man. Everybody have a ball. Everybody just, you know what I mean? The camaraderie, and just do their thing, man.
When we get off the air, we got to find a time for me to go and get started on mine. So, because I
Yeah.
want to go and get that ribbon done and all that on my forearm.
Yeah,
so.
man. And what else I was about to say? But yo, you know how most people have like their shop name and or their stage name that would have the big banners.
Right.
Oh, this banner right here gonna kill him, my guy. Oh, it's gonna kill him.
It's funky.
It's gonna piss off a lot of white people.
Oh my goodness.
Uh-oh.
I know
That's
you
all.
all about that.
Yeah, man. I'm all about pissing off the white people. But man, I ain't gonna lie. It's because I looked at it like this knowledge. I said, if I was given a platform to be able to be around nationally known people, I want those people to know where I stand on every situation.
And what
Right.
you
I don't
stand
want,
for.
Right. I don't want you just to see a shop name and then, oh, that's him. Nah, I want you to know me. You gonna get to know me.
The real you.
That's
the
right.
Whole you.
The whole me.
And when is this again?
It's October the 26th through the 28th.
Okay, October 26th to 28th. All right. So make sure y'all check it out if you're in the Queen City. Come on through. And where is it going to be at? What's the venue?
Charlotte Convention Center.
And we're going to talk more about it as it gets closer and closer. But let's jump on in to the things that we got to talk about this week. So first off, we got to continue something from last week where we talked about, what's her name? Wanda Smith from V103 in Atlanta and how Cat Williams roasted her. Her husband actually really did pull the strap on that dude. Her husband actually really did pull a gun on Cat Williams.
Cause he a punk.
Pussy.
Bruh, you 5 foot. Cat Williams is what, 5'4" maybe on a good day.
No, he's not.
How tall you think Cat Williams is?
I'm about 5'3", 5'4". Cat Williams.
Cat Williams about 5'4".
Cat about 5'3", 5'4".
Yeah,
Yeah.
about 5'4". I give him 5'4".
Okay.
He weigh about 100, 30 pounds?
100 graham crackers.
100 graham cracker. You stupid.
Cat like that.
So, Cat ain't no heavyweight dude.
Yeah, no
Now,
gorilla.
Wanda's husband is like 6'4". about a strong 370. Damn. And so Cat had his bodyguard with him, and Cat's bodyguard is about the same size as Wanda's husband. And so you got you 6'4", 370. Wanda's 2 sons was there, and both of them is 6 feet or more, if I'm not mistaken.
And Wanda ain't little. But go ahead.
And Wanda is not a small woman. Her damn.
He
self.
told her she was big on the radio. Go ahead.
I'm still laughing at that.
No. You know what my favorite is?
Was a
Rub your gnarled fingers.
He said, does that wig and those headphones come together as a set? Bro. But no, so, you see, they got video of this. TMC actually has video of this. And, you got Cat Williams walking up to the guy in the phone, says, you about to see a old Marine beat a young Marine's ass. Hoorah. And I'm sitting here like, okay, Cat, you done got pumped up. You getting your Marine Corps on. Because, Cat was in the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. He is a Marine. And the next thing you see in the video, Cat is hauling ass into the food store, the discount food supermarket. And they actually show where the dude, had the strap in his hand. Now, he said he dropped his gun or whatever, but clearly in this video, he got the strap in his hand. And now...
He dropped it from his right hand to his left hand.
Exactly. Now, my thing is, what's up with all these punks out here pulling pistols on folk, man? Like, Cat, like this... Now, Wanda got to be in at least her mid-40s. At least her mid-40s. Her husband is in at least his mid-40s. So that means you grew up in the era where you used your knuckles before you used the tools.
Right. You come from the shoulder, not the hip.
Right. And so the thing is, for you to pull your strap on this dude, and it's you, and you got backup. You got her two sons right there. It ain't nobody but a little bit of Cat and his bodyguard. Now, here's my thing. I'm not a big dude. I ain't never backed down from nobody. I done took my fair share of L's. I done handed out my fair share of L's. I ain't never backed down from nobody. But I ain't never had a strap pulled on me by somebody 6 feet and above. I can tell you that straight up. If we throw our hands and you get the best of me, fine. But if you underestimate me and I get the best of you and you go get your strap, please believe it ain't gonna end the way you think it's gonna end, number one.
We would have fought when I got home. I'm serious. Like, it should just be an understanding. Like, he already clowned me on the radio.
And so
you gonna take your big ass out there and pull a gun on this little man. No, nope.
So since you couldn't throw hands with him, you got to throw hands with me back at the house. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's how your mama taught you when you was little.
you embarrass me in the streets. I'm embarrass you when you get home.
Yep. Now, if you got into a physical altercation and he got the best of you for whatever reason, maybe your knee went out. I don't know. He said, "Babe, get the strap." Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Get the strap. Right.
Babe, pull the scrap. Pop the trunk.
Right.
Oh, goodness. But other than that, no.
You ain't just going to be running up on somebody pulling the strap, though.
Nah, he a whole punk for that one.
Man, yeah, he a whole hoe out here.
A whole hoe out here in these streets.
The thing about it, though, man, he probably thought he might have caught an L.
And that's what I'm thinking. Like,
Yeah.
because Cat was selling them wolf tickets.
Yeah.
Now. I ain't gonna lie to you. Cat was selling them wolf tickets.
Cat
now.
was sounding like a straight up gorilla out
I'm trying
there.
to tell you, Cat was selling them wolf tickets. So it might have made old boy nervous.
Yeah,
Did y'all see him in what was it, Friday after next? Doing white ply?
Yeah, he grabbed Damon head.
I am a
boy, Damon. That don't go there. Lord,
He
but
might have some plies in his pocket.
Right. You never know.
now
That nigga
another
nervous.
thing that came out. I forgot to pull up the audio. I really wanted to talk about this for just a second, but Kevin Hart kind of came back at Cat Williams for all that talking he was doing on the air. And he said that Cat Williams ain't got nobody to blame but himself. He said, you were the guy. You had the opportunity to do all these great things, and you chose drugs instead of choosing to move your way up. And he said a lot of the stuff that Cat was saying was a lie. Now here's where I got it. Here's where a lot of people got what Cat was saying twisted. Okay, so Cat talked about Tiffany Haddish. I didn't necessarily like that. I thought he was hating a little bit. But what Cat was saying was telling people, like when he said to Monique, he was like, all of his stuff is black owned. All of his stuff is driven by his work and his work ethic. And the problem is we're expecting he said Netflix doesn't care about comedy. They don't care about the art of comedy.
Nah.
They care about the bottom line.
Right.
And so Cat Williams is like, I put myself on tour. I put my own material together. I use my own money and make my own specials.
Bingo.
And then I sell those specials to folks. I still own them. I still own it. That's why I can go out here and tour and still use my material because I'm selling them my material that I'm using. So I think there's a lesson in that.
Yeah,
now, Kevin Hart came back and basically said that that's the same thing he does, which I can agree with. Kevin Hart, everywhere he goes, every time he goes on tour, who does he have with him? Spank and them other Red Cup boys.
Yeah, bingo.
He's building platforms for them. He's giving them opportunities. He has them open up on these stadium tours that he does and selling out these huge arenas that he does. So, a lot of his people are coming up under him. I know when we went to go see D.L. Hughley had these two guys who opened up for him. And those guys were genuinely funny.
Right.
So I like to think that D.L. Hughley, I just watched his latest special. A lot of the material that he had when he came to the Comedy Zone was on that latest special on Netflix.
Right.
And so I like to think that D.L. Hughley and a lot of these big comics have guys that they groom and they bring up under them. But one thing that Kevin Hart said that Cat Williams hasn't done, he talks real reckless about all these other folks that made it and didn't do it the way he did it. But who has ever come up under him?
Hey, if you're eating and your team ain't, you're really not eating.
What I was taught, as a young knucklehead, is that if you don't feed your soldiers, you begin to look like a meal.
I'm trying to tell you. Hey, the dog will scrape your plate.
I'm sure. Hey, and that's just what it looked like. So eventually, you got Red Grant who was opening up and headlining at the Comedy Theater in Atlanta Comedy Theater, whatever, and he does really well when he goes on tour. Just by himself.
Right.
And so I'm sure, he's making a little bit of money. But some of these other folks that, was rocking with Cat, came up under Cat, you don't really see them out here getting bread like that.
I mean, but hell, Cat fell off. You know what I mean?
Cat did fall off.
So, when you chop off the head, the body gonna follow.
Yeah, you're right. Body's gonna wither.
And I just feel like Cat he's disgruntled due to the simple fact that now he did have a group of comics that, they was making noise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they was very entertaining. But he couldn't remain on top in order to make sure that his team made it to the top. So they kind of fell to the wayside when he fell off.
Right.
So.
A lot of these guys, I'm looking at a lot of the older comics. And I'm seeing, occasionally they're disgruntled with these younger folks. The YouTube comedians and the Instagram comedians, people taking shots at folks like Jess Hilarious and HaHa Davis and these guys. And my thing is, I think that to be a comedian in today's era, you have to be better than you did before. Just like I think to be a good rapper in today's era, you had to be better than before. And somebody brought this up. I think it was Joe Budden that brought this up. Back in the day, as a rapper, you could go on Hot 97 and do a freestyle.
Boom.
It might be 16 bars of written, and you do that freestyle. Then you go to Atlanta, you do that same freestyle. Then you go to the Midwest, you do that freestyle. You go out to LA, you do that freestyle. Boom. And the thing is, you toured the whole country with this one freestyle. And you can't do that now because the moment you do a freestyle on Hot 97, it's hitting the web.
Bingo.
Mm-hmm. Like when Fred the Godson did that thing with Jaquez or whatever, the guy at Jaquez. That song, 1,000 grams. I was like, yo, they need to record this.
Right.
Not only was it shared from Hot 97, it went to another affiliate station here in the Midwest. Then it went to an affiliate station in Chicago and Atlanta. And I thought that was one of the hottest things I'd ever heard. But you hear it immediately. You can't do that. But the same thing goes for these internet comedians. They tell a joke on Tuesday. You can't tell that same joke on Thursday.
They have to be funny every
single day.
Every day.
They have to show up every day and build that following every single day.
You had to have 365 and 1/4 jokes.
Bro, that's real.
Nigga.
You know how hard that is?
That's pressure.
Bro, we sometimes are grasping at straws for material every week for the podcast. We have some days
6-day break.
Bro, exactly. Sometimes longer, like with this past one. And we still sometimes are like, shit.
That's why I
What
told.
we gonna talk about?
That's why I
Right.
told somebody the other day, like, you haven't posted a video in a minute. I'm like, shit, I done talked about my whole life in a week.
Man, it's difficult.
It
doing
also
that.
goes into supply and demand. Like, back then you could get on a comedy special, what was it? Comic View,
Comic
Def
View,
Jam.
Comedy Jam.
Right.
Yeah.
But you had enough time to warm people up, get
Right.
to your jokes, punch it out, and then bring it to a close. Now you got 15 seconds.
That's it.
If that.
Maybe at 30.
Right.
Maybe at 30 on the gram.
If you got enough attention, if you got enough of a following, people will give you 30 seconds to get into that joke.
Right.
Like that Jess with the mess, her My News is Real, where she talks about it. I think that's usually funny.
But the attention span of the audience is shorter. So you
Yeah.
got to hurry up and make a connection like ASAP.
Yeah. Like Nick Nack Paddywhack and Dan. The beauty of theirs was like the gimmick was the same thing over and over and over, but they had to find different places and positions to put themselves in. When they got that dude, what was Great Value, J. Cole, like it was funny to watch them antagonize that dude for a little bit.
Right.
And then with Dan going around stealing other stuff, that's still a funny bit. And I don't even think they was trying to be comedians. They was just kicking it and making videos that went viral.
Right.
And they built a whole brand off of it.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and then you look at the success of Wildin' Out. There's now a market for cats like that. Nick Cannon. Now, what people can't say about Nick Cannon done built some careers.
Yeah, he put people on.
Yeah.
Nick put a lot of people on.
Nick is building careers.
I'm talking from battle rappers to comedians.
Yeah, he took Jess from Instagram to Wildin' Out, and now she's touring.
Right.
You see a lot of these young guys touring. What's the kid's name that be dancing on there all the time? He's not even a comedian. He just dances.
The guy that played Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Bingo.
He was an Instagram guy.
Yeah. And it's just I love to see that. My goal in the future, in the very near future, with some of the things we're planning and trying to work out, is to be able to do that same thing. Turn around and build up other folks, help other podcasts grow, stuff like that. Like, and I don't even have, a personal following. The podcast doesn't have a huge following, but we have something.
Right.
And think about it. Cat Williams has a platform that he's built for millions of folks to listen to. Cat Williams can go on a 50-city tour right now and sell out every venue. That's millions of folks. He can put people in front of millions of folks, and then he's got to start building his own brand too. Kevin Hart does it. Kevin Hart is still funny on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I guess he's the bridge between the two, the old school and the new school.
Yeah.
And so now that he started his own production company, I mean, it's about to get real for him. He's on the business side. So shout out to all those guys, and hopefully everything gets worked out and all that.
And shout out to my man Tremaine Pearson, a.k.a. Trey D out there in California. He opens up for the, matter of fact, Plastic Cup Boys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, one of my homies, man, I grew up with, and from Hampton. I remember when he first started, when he said he wanted to do comedy, he was like 15. And shit, he's been out there in Cali doing his thing, plugging, man. So shout out to comedian Trey Elliott. Go ahead, I ain't mean to put your government out there.
But it's dope when you said he figured that out around 15.
Right.
Because for a lot of comedians at 15, you were just told you were a knucklehead.
Yeah, but that
Right?
nigga was funny.
Right, you see what I'm saying? Like, you always in trouble. You a clown. You this, you didn't know.
When I told my daddy that when I was young, he decided to beat the funny out of me.
Right, or send you off somewhere to school.
My daddy beat me till I wasn't funny no more. Like it wasn't. Like I was like, he was like, I was like, I want to be the class clown. Oh, that's how you feel, huh?
Class clown this.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna show you. Laugh now. Like, wait, daddy, he beat the funny out of me.
Put a laugh now, cry later tattoo on you.
I should have got one. Should have been a whole bunch of stripes all over my back. Had to beat the hell out of me. Talking about you. Oh, you want to be class clown, huh? Dad, I want to be a comedian. Oh, you think you're funny? Make me laugh. I'm about to laugh now. Guess who got the last laugh? Shit. Anyway, I got bitter. I'm sorry.
Right, you did. Come on. Come back from the light, Cat.
Let's move on. The Chicago Cubs had Hispanic Heritage Night, and some dudes who actually, honestly, in the video kind of look Hispanic decided to turn it into a racist event. So these guys apparently got into it and got into a fist fight. And the guys who, were on I'm going to say the losing end of the fist fight decided to get up and call the Hispanic guys spicks and beaners. Turns out one of those guys is actually in the Indiana National Guard, and they're now investigating.
One of the ones that was
calling them spicks and beaners. hurling the racial
slurs.
Yeah, so apparently,
God damn it.
you go to a baseball game just to relax, and you got to deal with these drunk losers, who don't know how to handle their liquor or their tongue, and people just out here, I really don't remember prior to Trump's rise people being this bold and brazen.
Oh no.
So I often wonder how people have the audacity to blame Obama for creating racial division. Like, who raised y'all and what America are y'all living in? Like, I don't understand that.
I ain't tell you what.
They're back in America before civil rights because a lot of them were cowards until they got into a group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they went out together to go find African Americans to torture and hang and things of that nature. So it's the same thing now. Like, now you give a little group in your mouth, you look hard.
I ain't gonna lie. I held the door at Family Dollar the other day for this little white lady. And she said, "You was a handsome little colored." I ain't know how to take it. A little colored?
Man.
A handsome little colored?
Hold on. So, I gotta tell this story. I went to the doctor the other day.
Right.
Now, my doctor old as shit. Well, I've only been twice. I say my doctor, but the doctor I went to. Nigga came in the room and was like, "Now, Gal, what we gonna do about this knee?" I said, "Did this motherfucker call me Gal?"
It's like,
shit.
But I wasn't like offended. Right.
Because of the age.
Because of the age. And I knew he didn't mean to be offensive. But I was like, why am I rationalizing the fact that I'm confused as fuck right now?
That's what
Now,
happened.
So, wait, I let it slide the first time. He left, came back, got the cortisone, gave him cortisone, shot him in the knee, whatever. And he got ready to go. He said, "Now, Gal." So I said, this nigga done said it again. Goddamn. I started to leave a note in the room.
Right.
I don't know.
There are some phrases that, like, I have a real problem being called boy.
Oh man.
By a white man of any age, in a certain way.
Boy, now, like anybody.
If my boy, like if Bo, my buddy Bo, or if my boy Big Chili Dog says, "What's up, my boy?" or something
my
like
boy,
that, or something like that.
Boy? What's up, my boy?
I'm okay with that.
But it's BOI.
Or they say, "Boy, you silly."
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right.
I have those are my friends.
But it's
so I understand the context and what they're saying.
But it's BOI.
Yeah, exactly.
Like big boy.
But if you call me, if you say something like, "Hey, boy."
Yeah. Shit.
Sir.
When he said it, I immediately felt like I was barefoot with two plaits on my head. I'm not lying. I was like, the fuck is going on right now?
With a steel tub and washing board.
Look, with a cotton blend sundress on.
Yeah.
You heard banjos, didn't you?
But the crazy thing about it, I think he probably refers to every younger female in his office as gal, like even the nurses.
And see, that would
no matter what
me.
race they are. I think he refers to every younger female as gal.
And that doesn't surprise me. And my thing is, okay, I'm not one to make excuses for a lot of stuff, but I'm also, but I pick my battles.
Yeah, now if he said picking in it, we were gonna fight.
Right. Now you little jigaboo,
your little bed winch,
right?
Hey, you a pretty little moon cricket. You know what I'm saying? At that point, these hands are equal opportunity, and I'm beating your elderly ass. Like, that's just how it's gonna go. Oh, shit. Ain't no respecting your elders at that point.
I was called a pickaninny when I was younger.
On purpose?
Yeah, this lady, she lived next door. She called me a pickaninny.
White lady?
A black lady.
Oh, that don't surprise me.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Negroes been calling Negroes racial slurs.
Nah, but I never forget. I went over her house one day. I don't know why I was in her house. I can't remember. I don't remember. But what I do remember is when I went in her house, I came back. I told my mom, I said, she got all the good snacks over there. Seriously. She had,
Let me ask you a question.
Hold on, wait. You remember, was it Canada Dry, Canadian Dry?
Canada Dry.
The sparkling, the flavor
Canadian
sparkling.
clearly Canadian.
She had all the, I was like, Mama, she got all the nice snacks and shit over there. Mama said she get food stamps. Never think she better than everybody. She get food stamps.
She thinks she better.
That lady called me a pickaninny.
So just to be clear, now you've grown up quite nicely, just so you know. You know, you're a very attractive woman. Was you a fat kid? You weren't fat? Because that was like the fattest statement I've ever heard. Well, that's not the fattest statement you've made on the show.
Oh, the good snack.
But that was the fattest statement.
Okay, well, let me back up. So when I was younger, I was underweight. I was born premature. I had a whole bunch of issues and shit growing up. But for a while, they did have me on like steroids and stuff for a really long time. It's probably where some of it developed from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
So I did get chunky around about 4th grade. Yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of folks who are stuck in the past and clearly don't understand that we are living in modern times where black folks have rights, that was a nice segue, wasn't it?
It was.
That was a pretty nice segue.
That was dope.
Let's talk about the State Attorney General of Texas. His name is something Paxton. Ken Paxton. He's the State Attorney General, which means he's the chief law enforcement officer for the entire state of Texas. Now, last year in 2017, India Landry, who was a high school student in Texas, decided that she wasn't going to stand for the pledge. She was not going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and that is actually a constitutionally protected action under the First Amendment. She said, I felt the flag doesn't represent what it stands for, liberty and justice for all, and I don't feel what is going on in the country. So it was my choice to remain seated silently. It was a silent protest. Now, the first time she did it, the teacher sent her to the office. So she did it again, and the Winfern High School principal, her name is Martha Strother, saw her doing it, told her to stand. When she didn't stand up, she was expelled and told to leave school grounds or she would call the police. So you're going to call the police
on a high school
student? On a high school student for not standing for the pledge.
Shit.
Yeah. So she was let back into school, though. A couple days after the expulsion, she was let back into school with little to no explanation. And she said, she filed a lawsuit.
I was going to say, that's a lawsuit all day.
She filed a lawsuit that accused the principal, vice principal, secretary, and 2 teachers of violating her daughter's rights to free speech, equal protection, and due process, and of singling her out because she was black. Now, none of this has to do with Ken Paxton. I'm going to read you a direct quote that he said. Okay? Check this out. He said, school children cannot unilaterally refuse to participate in the pledge. The U.S. Supreme Court has repeatedly held that parents have a fundamental interest in guiding the education and upbringing of their children, which is a critical aspect of liberty guaranteed by the Constitution. Can somebody explain what the hell that meant? And how the hell that related to anything that was going on?
That motherfucker just talked all the way around his own head.
Right.
He went around his asshole to get to his elbow.
You know what I mean?
Like,
it sounded good.
No, it didn't.
I mean, no, in his head. That's what I'm
Right.
saying. It sounded good.
No, this sounded good before I actually said it. You know what I'm saying? Like you ever had something that you like thought about or wrote down and it sounded really dope until you tried to explain it to somebody else?
Right.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
There was
just
a
then.
bunch of like political jargon that meant nothing.
Yeah.
It's sort of like some of these mixtapes.
Yeah.
What?
Mixtapes.
I'm just saying,
Mixtapes.
they probably be,
Here's the thing.
Anyway.
And to go back to Ken Paxton, though, let me tell you what this proved to me. I have always believed that getting a degree isn't a matter of intelligence.
Not at all.
It's a matter of being able to complete certain requirements that can be essentially just worked to or worked towards or pushed towards. That's it. Once you know the standards, you don't have to be smart.
No, not at all.
You just have to hit the right things. My 1 year of law school taught me something very valuable. Number one, being a lawyer is not for me. That was the number one thing because it's just, I mean, could I do it? Yeah. Is it something that I'm passionate about? Not really. But sitting in a classroom and we were discussing criminal law and torts and civil procedure and things of that nature. And, I'm answering questions. And I'm sitting there literally listening to a dude explain to me why it was perfectly fine for certain I'm not going to say the specific case, but why it was perfectly fine for this white man to kill a black teenager, and why he thinks that legally she should have got away with it. Let me know that some of these motherfuckers are just crazy. And knowing that the district attorneys can quite literally just ignore the letter of the law and make up all these weird proclamations as it relates to the law to keep certain people from being prosecuted, really just didn't sit well with me. And so, I've realized that just because you have a law degree, it doesn't make you smart. Education is not an indicator of intelligence.
Not at all.
Because
that part.
That's a real thing.
You can slide through with a D.
And at the same time, that bothers me so much that we have all these people with law degrees, master's degrees, PhDs. We have a guy right now in the White House, and Stephen Miller, that graduated from Duke University, a very prestigious university. And he's a flaming, blithering idiot and a white supremacist. David Duke has a degree.
Right.
I'm at the point now where I'm just like, do we need to be more here's the thing though, if we're more selective about who we let in school, then will nobody have a degree? I don't know what the solution is to this. It's too many idiots out here using the letters behind their name to justify the BS that they do and the ridiculousness that they impose on other people at high levels. I don't know what the solution is. What's the solution?
Really, it's the prestige that we hold a degree.
Yeah.
It's the prestige that we hold a degree, because you might have an individual who might be self-taught in numerous facilities.
Speaking of which, I think it was Apple and somebody else, Facebook, I think, said that you no longer need a degree. A degree is not a requirement anymore for their positions, because I was like this. My granddad was one of the smartest men I ever met in my life. Second grade education.
You tell me about it.
Dropped out of school, started his own business, ran his own business, owned an entire building where he had people pay him rent. You know what I'm saying? It was one of the smartest men I ever knew. Second or fourth grade education. There's a difference. I think there's a difference between education. Like I said, there's a difference between education and intelligence.
It's a difference.
Well, I think the whole thing, not to go down a huge rabbit hole, but the whole thing behind education and this whole go to school, get a degree, make yourself stand out, make yourself marketable, give yourself equal footing. We'll never have equal footing. A degree doesn't give you that. You got to think about it. Other races, it's always who you know, not what you know. They've been looking out for each other, putting each other in positions. We just always felt like we needed to go get a degree in order to give ourselves leverage.
What were we always
on
told?
The playing field?
You got to be twice as good to get half as much.
Right.
And then we turned around and stopped helping our people and stopped lifting as we climbed.
We got quote unquote what we thought was twice as good and got twice in debt.
I won't trade my shit back in. Cancel my student loan debt. I give you the degree back. You can have this shit back.
Because you know what? Let me tell you what was the most telling thing to me.
I want to trade my shit.
I'm gonna tell you what the most telling thing to me was.
Like it was a Honda.
Other than right now, the happiest time I had in my life was when I was in the military.
That's it.
I was so happy.
And I learned so much.
As a sergeant. And I learned a lot. I met some very, very, very intelligent folks. Now, I met some dumbasses, too.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But I met some extremely intelligent folks. Matter of fact, shout out to Scott. My boy Scott, he was in town last week. And, he came out to hang out with me, have a couple of drinks and whatnot. And he's a recruiter over in Eastern North Carolina. He's a young guy. I met him. He was like 18, maybe 19, young guy. He's gonna make a career out of recruiting for the Army because he's really good at it. He's a really intelligent guy, one of the smartest guys I've met. And I look around at those folks and I'm just like, wow. My son's grandfather, I don't think got his degree until he was already maybe an E7. He may not have a degree now that I think about it. Right. But he's a retired sergeant major. One of the smartest guys I know. Has one of the best lives ever. And I, at this point, my baby girl, Kenzie, Daddy loves you if you're listening, which I hope she's not because we cuss a lot. But Daddy, I love my baby girl so much. And my baby girl is so smart. You've met my baby girl. And my baby girl will use big words.
This ain't me on the show.
Huh?
This ain't me.
What?
This ain't me.
Okay.
We in character. Right. I'm
Oh.
in character. This ain't she know Miss Erica. I'm sweet. I don't say bad words and stuff. But go ahead.
She ain't listening to this damn show if you don't answer the question. You've met my baby. What the hell wrong with y'all? You've met my baby girl before.
Y'all got to see. His face was slowly morphing into Ike Turner just like, what you mean, anime? This ain't you.
No, but
His face was slowly
so
morphing.
my daughter is one of the most intelligent kids, out here in the world. Your son, we met your son. We met your little man. Your little man, genius.
Fucking aggravating.
Ain't they so smart? They get on your damn
Man.
nerves.
That's what the problem is. They too smart.
Right, too goddamn.
Too damn smart. Anyway, but but the thing is, I don't feel
Love you,
comfortable. I don't feel comfortable telling my daughter that she has to go to college. Now, the thing is, do I want my daughter in the military? I'm on the fence about it. And the reason I'm on the fence about it is because I think that the Air Force or the Navy or something like that really would challenge, my daughter in a way that she won't be challenged anywhere else.
Right.
It will teach her something that she couldn't learn anywhere else. It will give her something that she couldn't get anywhere else.
Right.
At the same time, there are a lot of considerations that I have regarding her being a woman going into the military.
Right.
And we're going to talk about some of those considerations coming up later on when we get to Trump, Kavanaugh, and Bill motherfucking Cosby. But because I'm telling you right now, my daughter is feisty. My daughter's strong. I want her to I'm going to get her in some self-defense classes. And my baby girl is definitely, going to know how to shoot long before she gets out of high school and possibly out of junior high. But the thing is, I don't feel comfortable putting her in that position. It's a damn shame I had to think like that. But back to the original topic, I don't feel comfortable telling her she has to go to college. I don't. You're going to get into, because, granted, if she goes to school in a certain state, with me being a disabled vet, she can go for free, tuition free, and she get her books free. But the thing is, at the same time, we still have other stuff to pay for. And so she might end up with a student loan or two. I don't feel comfortable telling my daughter to go to school, because look at how it is now. Some of these jobs want you to have 2 years experience, a degree, a 3.5 GPA, and only want to pay you $11 an hour.
Right.
And you sitting here like, I'd like to eat at some point. I want to be able to pay a bill. I got to pay student loans back at some point. Whereas she could go to the military or go get a trade of some sort or even go to, a coding boot camp or something like that and make much, much more fresh out than she would ever make, possibly with that degree. I know people right now who've been in their career 15 years and still don't make over $50,000.
I would much rather, you go somewhere, work, get the experience, and work towards a degree while you're working. So you're getting the experience. So who cares if you take 2 classes a semester, 1 class in the summer, however long it takes you. But if you got to get out of school and you have no experience and they still want you to have 5 years experience, work on your experience
It's
first.
A marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
That's it.
If I had known then what I know now, I would have done what I originally intended to go. I probably would have. I actually was going to join the Marine Corps fresh out of high school, and my dad had taught me out of it. And I had a full scholarship to FAMU. Well, excuse me, I had a partial scholarship to FAMU and a partial scholarship to Bama. Bama upped my money. I still wanted to go to FAMU. You know what? My parents actually finessed me into going to Bama. Now, granted, I know everything happens for a reason because I feel like if I had gone to FAMU, I wouldn't have graduated because I was a hot mess. I was a whole mess. That's back when I had a hairline and dreads and stuff. I was sexy.
He's still a hot mess.
I was sexy back then. Anyway, but no, it's just one of those things, man. Where if I'd known then what I know now, I probably would have gone to the military first and not graduated. Because think about it, I graduated, went in and enlisted, and was around a bunch of people who didn't have degrees, and we all making the same thing, and many of them make more than me. And so I'm sitting here like, shoot, I loved what I did. I didn't need to be an officer. I didn't want to be an officer. Ugh. That didn't sound fun, but I had a lot of fun being enlisted.
I really did.
Yeah, I miss it sometimes. Sometimes I miss it. But that's another story.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on a little bit. We starting to lag right quick. Let's move on. So y'all president stupid. And I ain't talking to people in this room. I'm talking to people listening. Y'all president stupid. Donald Trump went to New Bern, North Carolina.
God damn it.
And he was talking to a man whose home had been damaged after a large yacht came came from the ocean. I mean, that's how bad the flooding was in the coastal areas. A large yacht ran into this man's house, damaged his porch. And Trump looked at the yacht, talking to this man, said, "Is this your boat?" The guy said, "No." He said, "At least you got a nice boat out of the deal." So you're like, it's a time and place for everything. Now y'all know me. I be having jokes sometimes at the most inappropriate times.
Yeah, you do.
But you are the leader of the free world, and you are in a place that has been devastated. You are in the middle of a natural disaster, and you joking with this man. And that's not funny, bruh. The president said, he later told the reporters that the homeowner said that the insurance company doesn't want to pay him for the damage to his house. And the president said he promised to find out the name of the insurance company. He didn't say what he was going to do, though.
Wait,
so,
he promised to find out the name.
I'm going to find out who this insurance company is.
Shit,
I can tell you.
Heck of my insurance
It's
card.
USAA.
Right.
Oh, okay, good. And then you going to go somewhere else like that. He's selling wolf tickets out here.
You start calling this nigga diarrhea lips.
He just,
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Let's talk about diarrhea lips. Let's talk about DT, diarrhea Trump. So, y'all saw that video, right, where he was addressing the United Nations and said that he has accomplished more in his term than pretty much anybody before him. And the whole world, like literally, it's the whole world now.
laughing at
Not
him.
just around here, Craig.
Yeah.
The world.
The world, Craig.
Laughing at him. We all saw the video. We heard the audio. And you could tell his face turned another shade of red. He said, "Well, didn't expect that response." You know what this fool said? The crowd was having fun, and they weren't laughing at him. They was laughing with him.
Can they give him a drug test? Does the president have to take drug tests?
Yeah, man, if I was Barack, I would have wanted some weed.
Okay, dude, this nigga have to take drug tests.
You know what? And here's my thing. Listening to him speak, he has two problems, from what I can tell. I think legitimately Donald Trump is, first of all, he's an egomaniac, which we know, which we already know. I also think, like literally, like getting into the next story, this goes into the next story. Y'all president has a very loose relationship with the truth. I really think that he may be suffering from some form of dementia.
Yeah, man, he's delusional.
Like I
as shit.
think
he's delusional,
I think
yeah.
he's created his own reality.
Yeah.
And it doesn't match up with what we know to be actual reality. Like, okay, so he said that the women who accused him of sexual misconduct were paid. He said they got a lot of money. He said, "I'm a very famous person, and people want the fame. They want the money." He said, "I've been accused, I believe it was 4 women. You can check with Sean Hannity, you can check with Fox, because they covered it very strongly. I was accused by 4 or 5 women who got paid a lot of money to make up stories about me. We caught them, and the mainstream media refused to put it on television. They refused to even write about it. There were 4 women and maybe more. It's actually almost 2 dozen, number 1. He said that one had a mortgage paid off of her house, maybe $52,000. Nobody knows. Nobody found this money that he's talking about, number 1. But we do know he's paid out millions to settle different claims.
Right.
You know how some medicine, well, not some, all medicine has a side effect?
Mm-hmm.
Being delusional is a side effect of extreme privilege.
Bingo.
You're completely out of touch with reality. And certain things you should not be, like the fact that he couldn't recall how many women. Like, you know that. But you're so out of touch that you don't have to, keep track of certain things.
I'm going to tell you one thing, If I'm accused of grabbing asses,
You're going to know all the facts.
or if I'm accused of a wayward hand on a breast, if I'm accused of sexual assault, if I'm accused of rape, I'm going to know exactly who said it, how many times it was said, and how many people said it.
Because I know I gave Cinnamon $20
Okay, Natty. Let's move on to the
To
next
do
one.
something strange for a little change.
And y'all talk about me making jokes at inappropriate times. Right now is not the time
My bad.
to make any jokes
bad,
about
man.
any kind of sexual
Sorry.
misconduct.
That's not. No, we're not talking about sexual
Yeah, I'm
misconduct.
talking
We're talking
about-
about a agreed upon exchange for services or something. You know.
$2
Okay,
lap
well, let's
dance.
talk about non-agreed upon exchange for services. Brett Kavanaugh, the person that y'all creepy ass president decided to send to the Supreme Court. You know, I thought the worst Supreme Court pick ever was when George Bush picked his laundry lady to go to the Supreme Court, and everybody was like, "Are you crazy? Like, are you drunk?"
I thought it was pretty cool. To be honest, I thought it was really cool.
Like she gonna clean my shit up for me.
Don't look at me like
And let me tell you what the craziest thing was. There are two times in American history that I have really appreciated white feminists. Okay, there was the time that George W. Bush Jr. decided to let his cleaning lady run for put up his cleaning lady for Supreme Court, and then that was when Sarah Palin was running for vice president. And they said, I literally remember white feminists saying, "Look, we want a woman in office. We didn't say
but
just
not
any
like this.
woman.
Not
Anybody.
like
We
this.
didn't
Not
say
like
just
this.
any woman."
This ain't it.
It's not like this.
I was like, y'all problematic as shit, but y'all got them two right. I'm just trying to let y'all know. Y'all got them two perfectly right. But no, so Brett Kavanaugh is now facing a third accusation. This one from Julie Swetnick, though, is the most interesting. And I want to pause here for just a second to talk about this for a little bit. Julie Swetnick, she's a Washington, D.C. resident, said that she was a victim of a gang rape, which is how it's been characterized, and also characterized as people running a train on her while she was incapacitated and could not give consent. She says, and I quote, this was written actually. She says, and I quote, "During the incident, I was incapacitated without my consent and unable to fight off the boys raping me." She then says that she shared what happened with at least two other people shortly after the incident. She says, quote, "I believe I was drugged using Quaaludes or something similar placed in what I was drinking. This happened at a party in D.C. in approximately 1982. She said between 1981 and 1983, she attended well over 10 house parties. She said at these house parties, she began to notice Brett Kavanaugh and one of his friends, Mark Judge, would try to spike the punch with either drugs or grain alcohol, like golden grain or something like that, to cause girls to lose their inhibitions and lower their ability to say no. She said that they would target certain girls, usually girls who were alone or shy. She said she has firm recollection of seeing boys, quote, lined up outside rooms at many of these parties waiting for their turn with a girl inside the room. Now, this is, here's my thing. And I'll tell you guys, I've been in some very interesting places. I've been in some very interesting parties. I've been to some wild parties in undergrad. Hell, I threw a couple of wild parties. I will literally never forget walking into my bedroom at a house party. And I'm not going to say who was in there because they listened to the show. But I do remember what you were doing, sir.
Freak nasty.
That was consensual, though. It was absolutely consensual. I know that it was consensual, but I was like, really? On my bed? Like, sir, you still owe me a comforter, by the way. I ain't gonna say no name. You owe me a comforter.
Gotta burn the whole damn house down.
You owe me a comforter, sir.
I never understood why guys how y'all do that.
What?
Just let another dude just come do it in your bed.
Man, you gonna get beat the fuck up.
I don't understand why that was okay.
I walked into my
not
I
finna drag your ball sack
That's
across
what
my
I'm just
sheets.
saying.
I
If
walked
my
in-
homegirl
hold
be
up.
like, "Hey,
Hold
girl,"
on. I walked into my bedroom to grab something. I saw what was going on. I backed out. I was like, you know what? That can wait.
Now I will say.
Now here's my thing. I ain't want to be no hater. He had been shooting his shot.
Yeah.
And old girl said, "Come on."
No,
I was like, "Hey,
no.
You gonna have to find.
You gonna have to go
you
hunch
gotta
up in
find
the
that-
bathroom,
Yeah, you
up
gotta
on
find
the
another
wall,
coat.
or
Now
something.
I will.
you
say,
can't hunch in the bathroom at the house. Nigga, I got to pee."
Now I will say this. Now, if she is bent over the bed and you are not in the bed, it kind of is okay. Yeah. But if
Yeah.
your knees are making an imprint on the mattress,
Oh,
yeah.
cheeks.
Let's
It's on my
come
bed.
back.
No,
Let's come back. Let's come back. Let's come back.
Titties.
Let's come back. Let's come back. Let's come back. Let's come back. I do know that now, I'm not saying any names. I wasn't there. I haven't seen things. I don't know for a fact. I do know that in both high school and college, I do know of women who participated in group sex.
Yeah.
In that manner.
Yeah, bust it over.
Now, I know of a situation that happened when we were in high school where these guys, and I know one of them, and this was a situation that could have ruined their lives. They went and picked this girl up. They took her to the crib. You know what I'm saying? They all, had their time. And they videotaped it. Now, here's the thing. She knew she was being videotaped. First of all, she knew she was on tape. Now, the thing about it was when she got back to where she was going and realized that, she had snuck out and didn't nobody know where she was, she cried rape.
Right.
And these gentlemen were all arrested. And when they got to the police station, they was like, nah, bruh.
We got the tape.
We got tape. And so that's the only reason they weren't put in jail behind that.
Do not go out here and record nobody.
Now, hold on. Here's my thing.
Disclosure.
Now,
statement.
with that
Right.
being said, I know of other situations that were not recorded where women participated in group sex of this nature of their own free will and accord. I personally have walked into a room and seen people engaged in sexual congress in such a manner. I did not feel the need to join in. That is not my thing.
Yeah, that's-
sorry. I'm going to back away.
Yeah, that goose kind of loose right about now.
Damn it. But here's the thing. I also know, now those situations were of consenting women, consenting adults. I also know of way too many situations where women were put in positions where they didn't feel like they could say no.
Right.
Or where women were harassed and put in these. Look, rape goes underreported, number one. Out of all of the rape allegations that are made, less than 10% are proven to be false or are false by admission or by proof. And many of which that are true don't get prosecuted. So look at it like this. If rape is underreported and less than 10% are false, if every single rape or sexual assault was reported in this country, the number of false sexual assault and rape accusations would drop astronomically, in my opinion. Probably down to 2. I told you guys off the air, and I'm not going to say her name because, it's her story to tell, and this is not the platform for that. But I had a friend's mother, his mother, post a status today on Facebook of why she didn't report her rape. People are raped every single day by their family friends.
And traumatized.
And they're traumatized. Right. I got a friend right now whom I don't, honestly, with what she's been through, I don't see how she's still standing. And I know enough about what she's been through. She's been very open with me about this because one thing about it is I've always been an advocate for women who have been abused, who have been raped, whether it be domestic violence or whether it's been sexual assault or rape or anything like that. And she made a valid point today in her post. I'm not going to say her name, but I'm going to say, I'm going to read this to you guys. And I want you guys' thoughts on this. It really hurt me so bad to read this, especially after what I put on Facebook yesterday. And I'll put what I put on Facebook on the Kind of Sleepy page. She said, "Me Too has turned into why didn't I report it? Rightfully so, considering the amount of questions people who will never understand often ask. I'm going to share a little secret with you. Why didn't I report it? Au contraire. I actually did, and nothing happened. I did report it. Nothing happened. I was 15 when a man preyed on me. With my mother less than 100 feet away, he shoved me into a dark room in a public place and began to assault me. I ran. Then I fought. I fought to the point several grown men had to pull me off of this man. They let him go. Hoover police slapped him on the wrist and then let him go. I found out he'd been arrested for stalking and assaulting women. Last year, I accidentally ran into him at the car dealership where he works. I was immediately 15 again and paralyzed with fear. As he stood in front of my car, looking as if he was seeing a ghost, he smirked. Part of me said, hit the gas and end part of your pain. The part of me that knows only I would be the one paying for it said, don't. Why didn't I report this one? Let's see. Once again, I did. Yet again, you guessed it, nothing happened. I did report it. I was 18. He was a pastor holding a summer program at a certain community center. She has the details of the community center right here. I'm not going to say all that out loud. He hired me to work in his office. Eventually, the racy comments started. Then one day, in a room full of people, he stood behind me as he was praying, ran his hand down my back, and unhooked my bra as I sat in front of him. I reported it. He denied it. People still listen to him preach every Sunday. Now, this one is even better. I did report it, and nothing happened. I sat in a prominent office in the city, crying my eyes out, trembling, begging for help. I was being harassed, touched inappropriately, even in front of other people, threatened as well. I was told I'd be ruined in this city and never be able to work again if I ever opened my mouth. I got a hug, a look of dissatisfaction, and an I'll take care of it. According to the several women who came behind me, it was never taken care of. Seeing him being held at such high regard and knowing how long he's been protected makes me sick. You see, some women do report it. Unfortunately, nothing comes out of it. Then when it happens again, because it usually does, you have no fight left. You're tired. You begin to blame yourself. Is it the way you look? Is it the way you talk? Is it the way you dress? You begin to question and blame yourself. Eventually, I stopped reporting it. What's the use in reporting something when nothing is going to be done? I'm not the only one. Stop asking why people wait. Stop asking, please. Now, this young lady, I know her personally. I know her very well. She's one of the most intelligent people I've met. She's actually a very successful business owner. You look at her and the way she presents herself. She's polished. She's all put together. And behind it is a whole lot of pain. Who failed her? I don't think it was the justice system. I don't think it was specifically the community. I think it was not, well, I take that back. I think it was the black man who, number one, did this to her, because I know specifically who she's talking about, number one. I know specifically who she's talking about. The black man who did this failed her. And then the people who know, who had an opportunity to fix it and did nothing, failed her as well. When are we going to get to the point where when women say they're assaulted or raped, that we believe them? I'm not saying go on a witch hunt and completely tear down somebody, but when are we going to get to the point where we believe them? Because there is a pattern of behavior with a lot of these guys.
I mean, and it basically goes down like you just said. If you already see a pattern of behavior with a person and somebody, brings that to the forefront and say, hey, this is what they did. I mean, why even sow a seed of doubt? Why even sow a seed of doubt? Go ahead and take that word. Go ahead and take that word as bond, and let's go ahead and see corrective action. Right. And see, a lot of times, and from what I just got from the passage, she was dealing with people that were in a higher echelon or a higher social standing or a higher position, and people tend to, for lack of a better word, kiss ass and suck dick.
Yeah.
So they gonna go with who's on top of the mountain versus on who's at the bottom of the totem pole.
I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't care how much money I make. I don't care where I get to, where I go. My principles,
Yeah, I mean,
my morals and my principles will not allow me to sit back and let that shit ride.
you know what I mean? But a lot of people, they ride coattails. So they feel like, okay, they might know the situation is wrong. And they might feel wholeheartedly that the situation is wrong. But with them speaking up, where's it going to be beneficial for them?
Right.
Well, honestly, I don't see a change happening.
I don't know.
As a woman and being completely realistic, I don't see a change happening. We live in a country where the concept of innocent until proven guilty applies across the board, no matter what the crime is. In other countries, if you're, accused of certain things, they handle it right
then and there.
Because most of the time there's proof, and they go ahead and address it, and they handle it. It's not an innocent until proven guilty. No, you're guilty.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what I've noticed. I've noticed that we treat the victims of rape and sexual assault as if they did something wrong.
Right. No. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. Like this whole innocent until proven guilty. You have to prove that someone else was wrong. You have to prove that the allegations that you're making, are factual. You have to go through and get basically combed through to your history and your habits and whether or not you're promiscuous and whether or not, why were you at the party? What actions did you take? What, did you lead it on in any kind of way? Okay, you have to go through, and it's tough enough to admit to yourself what happened. You then go and confess to someone else what was done to you. They try to determine whether or not you're telling the truth or whether you're exaggerating. They ask you a whole bunch of humiliating questions. They then have to, invade your privacy again. You've been taken advantage of. The last thing you want to do is go and open your body up to, testing and things of that nature, but you have to do it. Then let's say if things go to court, you have to sit there and be humiliated and live that again in front of all these strangers that you don't want to talk about it in the first place with.
So so this is going to take us right into the Bill Cosby thing. If you guys don't know, Bill Cosby was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in jail, in prison, for 3 felony counts of aggravated indecent assault, which is basically sexual assault. I'm going to assume that this was a second degree felony, primarily due to the sentencing guidelines. Had they been first degree, he could have served a maximum of 20 years. They could all be first degree, but it's not there. Now here's what. So Bill Cosby, first of all, it's before I even get started on this shit, because I got a lot to say about Bill Cosby raping ass. Before we even get started, we're talking about why women don't report being sexually assaulted, and we talk about why women don't report being raped and stuff like that. I think about how we treat victims or how we treat women who bring these things up and how they accuse and how we treat the women who accuse men of rape. And one of my frat brothers posted on his Facebook page, just an FYI, Bill Cosby played a character named Heathcliff Huxtable, but they are 2 different people. Bill Cosby is a rapist who was caught late in life. No matter the age, he deserved to pay for his crimes. And so he said that. And then I looked at all the comments, and I looked at what women were saying regarding this situation. Bill Cosby was tried and convicted after his civil assault, after he admitted to using drugs on women to have sex. So here's what women, I'm going to read a couple of comments under this Facebook post of what women were saying. One woman said, "Wow, he was blind a long time ago if he chose that woman. I guess what happened to her made her the way she is today. It destroyed her for life." People thought that was funny. So another person says, But I can't expect to go to a married man's house to have drinks and don't expect him not to try me, especially if we have been flirting before. My point is, don't cry rape when you don't get the job. Make the cry at that time, not when he's about to take over NBC and old and frail. Negroes. Okay, this is a public service announcement for you ignorant ass bastards out here. You got a whole goddamn computer in your motherfucking pocket. 15 years ago, you could not get the access to the information that you have right motherfucking now. Bill Cosby's ass was not about to take over motherfucking NBC. If another one of you motherfuckers says Bill Cosby is facing these charges because he's about to take over NBC because in 1992 he formed an exploratory committee, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you right there in your motherfucking face, in front of your kids and everybody. I don't give a damn if you're preaching in church. I'm coming up to the pulpit and I'm slapping the shit out of you. Stop telling people that stupid ass shit. I'm tired of y'all looking dumb on the internet and everywhere else. Y'all making us look bad with your ignorant asses. Sick of you motherfuckers. Anyway, so continuing.
Well, I was looking for the tambourine. We got no tambourine in here?
So this woman, another woman says, this woman also says, I'm confused. If she was drugged, as she said, how did she remember so much? Usually, if you drugged or consumed too much alcohol, you might wake up the next morning and wondering what the hell happened. I'm just saying, oh yeah, she was on the drug that makes you remember 35 years later. That's another thing. This happened in 2004. The civil trial happened in 2005. It ended in 2006, you stupid bastards. Stop talking about stuff from 35 years ago. Yes, people remember shit from 35 years ago if they were raped. 58 whole black ass, white ass, Caucasian ass, Asian ass, Mexican ass women came out and said Bill Cosby drugged them and raped them. That is a pattern of behavior with your simple asses. 58. 58 whole motherfuckers can't decide where to go.
Okay, can you address why it was a civil case?
Okay, so check this out. So the burden of proof for a civil case is a lot lower. You do not need, in a criminal trial, you have to have beyond a reasonable doubt. You have to have a consensus among that jury. That's not so in a civil case. Also, a civil case does not send you to jail all the time, although there are some provisions and situations where you may be sent to jail, you know, if you do not comply with the court's orders.
Right, held in contempt.
Yeah, you can be held in contempt. The civil trial is where you get money from, where you are found liable. In cases such as this, people look at Law and Order SVU and think this shit is like a 4-day process. No. In a civil trial, you can do exploratory depositions. You can get all this evidence. That evidence can later be used in a criminal trial in a lot of cases. And so you do that to establish the facts of the case.
To actually expose someone.
it. This lady got $3.4 million as a result of it. After the situation happened with Cosby, she left school. She moved to Toronto with her mother and was working on being a massage therapist. Before that, she was the director of something dealing with athletics.
So the actual rape took place in 2004.
2004, yes.
How old was Bill in 2004?
So if he's 81 now, and that was 14 years ago, Bill was 67 years old. So here's my thing. People just don't read.
Yeah.
Like, y'all think that these people just, like... So here's I'm going to ask you a question. Let's say it's 2016, right? And, okay, let's take it even back farther than that. 2014, a woman did an article in Vanity Fair. I think it was Vanity Fair. It was either Vanity Fair or Vogue. It was one of these fashion magazines, women magazines, where she accused Bill Cosby of sexual assault. Had the same MO as this. Janice Dickinson, same MO. Now, she said that she did fabricate some of the stuff for her book, which, you know, whatever. So let's say half of them were lying, as people seem to think all of them are lying. Let's say half of them are lying. So you mean to tell me 29 motherfuckers all telling the same lie? But let's make this personal for a second. Let's say 2004, 2005, 2006, whatever. Let's say 14 years ago, you're dating somebody. And let's say they come to you and they say, well, you know, so-and-so cheating on you with me. And I know he drive XYZ car. I know he live at such and such. And I done seen y'all together coming out his place and such. And I know he like to do XYZ and he like to eat at such and such. And he do all that. all that corroborating information from that one person would cause you to look at your dude way sideways, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Say, let's put the show on the other foot. That would cause you to look at your girl way sideways, wouldn't it?
Couldn't even look at her.
And so the thing is, 29 whole, I'm saying 29 because that's half of the 58. 29 whole women all have a particular MO and a particular set of circumstances and situations.
Right.
And we got the nerve to say they all lie.
But my thing is the whole, why are they just now saying something? So, yeah, some of them may have reported it. But let's say it happened to me. And I was too embarrassed to say anything about it. You know. But this other woman came forward. He's going to trial. They're trying to establish that he has a pattern of doing this. You know what? Damn it, I may get the urge to go ahead and tell the truth.
Here's the thing. You look at how we think. Okay, so Dr. Ford, who came out against Brett Kavanaugh, who's currently up for Supreme Court, look at how she got treated. Mm-hmm. Nobody asked for that.
Yeah, nobody. That's not something you want to do.
Now,
you're going to get drugged through the mud. You're volunteering to be drugged through the mud.
And here's another thing, right? So there are 58 women who accused Bill Cosby, right? I know Andrea Constant's name because this is what she was accused of. This is the one that this is the one that he got convicted of. Okay? I know Beverly Johnson's name because I recall who Beverly Johnson was. She was the first black supermodel. I recall Janice Dickinson because she was on, what was it, America's Next Top Model, and she was like real famous. She was a famous supermodel too. Can either of you name any of the other 55 women? Mm-mm. I'm willing to bet a whole paycheck that 90% of the people out there who claim that he's innocent or not guilty or whatever can't name any of those 55 women either. So let's stop with this bullshit about women coming out against powerful men because they want to get famous. Y'all don't know their name. Mm-mm. You're not going to know their name. And so the thing is, like we talked about earlier, you know how you said that racists get bold when they got people around them in support? Mm-hmm. Guess what? So do victims.
Yeah.
That's why it's called Me Too.
I mean, I honestly, I know I used the example earlier and I was like, yo, if it was me, you know, and I found out that other people were coming forward and trying to establish the truth behind who this person is, that I probably would get the courage to go ahead and tell the truth. Right now, I can think of a couple people. I know one dude, I can remember it like yesterday. Dude said, yo, you want to come over and watch movies? I said, yeah, cool. I'll come over and watch movies. Well, he had another agenda. Wasn't watching no movie. This was before Netflix and chilling. But he was not trying to watch movies.
VCR and villain.
Exactly. But the only reason why
Fuck you, Natty.
the only reason why I got out of that situation was because I was adamant about dude legit had me feeling in the corner like Ebony, like I just came here for the movie and that's it.
That's it.
Right. And I was like, what?
Junior.
He didn't get the impression. I mean, honestly, even though some people say, you know, it's inexcusable that I wasn't dressed any kind of way. I didn't come over there to drink. I didn't come over there to smoke. I literally went over there to watch movies. Wasn't what he was trying to do. I was like, yo, I'm leaving.
Right.
I left on foot and walked back to where I came from because I was not staying. He was like, I'll give you a ride. No, nigga, I don't want no ride from you.
I'm good,
I want to
bro.
talk. No, like that just wasn't the case. But if somebody else came forward and there was 5 other women saying, yo, one woman said, yo, he actually raped me. Another woman said, yo, I was there. He took advantage of me. I'd be like, you know what?
That nigga tried it.
That nigga really tried it. But the only reason it didn't happen with me is because I fought the hell off his ass and left out of his house on foot and walk back where I came from.
You know, and another thing, man, you know, like we talked about before knowledge, man, you know, you have people who are affluential and who have a social status and people are put in a place of power, they feel like they're privileged.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They feel like...
And that's the thing. Bill Cosby, think about it. The oldest accusation was from the 70s.
Right.
Y'all realize Bill Cosby went, let's say it was 1970. You realize Bill Cosby went almost 50 years?
50 years.
It was a power trip.
That's
it. It was a power trip. And like people want to talk about who looks like what and whether or not this woman was attractive. It didn't matter. It was a power trip for him.
I can do that because I'm who I am.
I'm Bill.
Yeah, I'm who I am.
But the thing is, like, you really lame because, you know, to be honest, there's a lot of women out here that would have gave you the booty for free.
I mean, you
know,
the trail.
It didn't matter. Just didn't matter.
Yeah,
so why did you have to do that?
Now, one of my Facebook friends brought up the possibility of Bill possibly having a fetish.
Man, fuck out of
Wait.
here.
No,
Man,
and it wasn't to excuse him. It wasn't to excuse him. I don't want to mischaracterize
A
it.
fetish for drugging people?
Well, just like
People have rape
right,
fetishes.
rape fetishes, pedophile, all of it. Some of it is linked to some kind of mental disorder or some. To me, I think certain fetishes are mental disorders.
People have rape fetishes. I found out I was reading something like a couple years ago. I found out that people have limp body fetishes.
And look, man,
That's
please
rape.
don't- look,
That's
man,
a rape fetish.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
To
that's
me,
I'm assuming that's a form of rape fetish.
Please don't expose my virgin ears to such atrocities.
some of these categories, even though I don't watch them, but I'm just saying, like some of the categories I've seen on the porn stuff, I'm like, what are these categories? Where did they come from?
Which ones you talking
I
about?
don't know, but I'm just saying some of them real bad.
But but like a lot of times, like we were saying, man, people just feel like that's, that's a privilege. That's what they're supposed to do, and you're not supposed to say anything. You're supposed to just go with the flow.
I'm gonna say this, and I want y'all's feedback on this, and then we gonna get out of here because we already been on like an hour and 15. I don't really understand some of these folk caping for Bill Cosby. I don't understand why y'all caping for him. Bill Cosby ain't fuck with you like that.
I got daddy
Man,
issues.
Bill don't even fuck with you.
Bill didn't like you like that. Like, if you listen to Bill Cosby's pound cake speech, I'm going to tell you if you dealt with the following, Bill Cosby did not fuck with you. If you were poor, if you were really poor, if you grew up in a single parent household where your mama worked multiple jobs and couldn't always be at the house with you, if you grew up with a dad who might not have been around or was possibly incarcerated, your dad had probably got more time than Bill Cosby did if he was incarcerated, second of all. If you dropped out of high school, if you have a GED, if you ever had Jordans and didn't have the best GPA, if you had an altercation over something trivial, if you were a teen parent, if you wore your hat backwards, if you sagged your pants, if you have an ethnic name, if you use slang or African American vernacular English, if you ever were in poverty in any way, shape, form, or fashion, at any type. If you have children by multiple parents, if you've been incarcerated, or if you've ever been charged with a crime. And that's the short list. Bill Cosby ain't fuck with you like that.
Ain't fuck with you.
Bill Cosby ain't like you.
I mean, people really have to separate. Like, it's plenty of us, and I know plenty of people listening. You go to work every day. You go to work to do your job. You put on the front while you at work. When you get off, you so glad you can go back to being a nigga. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. That was his job. He was on TV. He was a TV dad. That was his job. That was not who he is as a person. People have to separate the two.
One of my boys said Heathcliff Huxtable was a great man. Bill Cosby's guilty as hell.
You don't know shit about Bill Cosby.
Don't know shit about Bodak Bill.
81 Savage.
No.
81.
Okay, why did they have to? Why did they have to cover so many details about him in jail?
What do you mean?
Where his cell was located, what his first meal was.
It's just one of
what
those
he did.
things that people care about. Let's just
What's
be
his
honest.
inmate number?
NN 7687.
Nasty nigga 7687. That's his new name.
Nasty nigga. Boy, I'm telling you.
No, seriously, as soon as I read it, I was like, nasty nigga 7. Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah.
But the same people that you talk about, you have to, sometimes you might be in those same shoes. That's what Bill is at.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you something that I told somebody else. I posted it. This was actually on a comment under my Facebook status today regarding Bill Cosby. I had a very long Facebook status about Bill Cosby.
Yeah, that shit was long as hell.
but
it was very entertaining. It was
I had to get out there.
And informative.
I told one of my good friends that I've known since I was 15 years old. I said, I love you, bro. Know that. If somebody told me that you robbed a bank, I wouldn't believe it. If somebody told me you abused a child, I wouldn't believe it. It's because I've known you 20 years and I know your character. We don't know William Cosby.
Don't know shit about
We
him.
don't know his proclivities, vices, or character. We only know what his carefully crafted image showed us. So to see someone we looked up to as kids make a violent departure from their public face is unbelievable and painful. It's an intellectually violent event in our head that forces us to divorce ourselves from what we believed was reality. We forced William Cosby into the Heathcliff Huxtable mold because that's who he became to us. We still call Keisha Knight Pulliam Rudy. Malcolm Jamal Warner will never not be Theo. That's our childhood. But just like finding out Santa Claus wasn't real and learning that our parents are humans and not superheroes, we have to do the same with Bill Cosby. Is it disappointing? Sure. Is it painful? For some. Is it unrealistic? For somebody I don't know? Nah. I don't know Bill Cosby.
I don't know shit about.
I ain't never had a drink with Bill. And I wouldn't have a drink with Bill.
You better
No.
not.
Better not have a drink with motherfucking Bill.
You gonna be hollering at
Be
me
whistling later.
too? Yeah.
Wake up the next morning. Why does my ass hurt?
Yeah, that's no, but like, see, we can hear of another story. We can read an article on social media and be like, "Yo, that nigga sick." You know, wait till he go to jail. He gonna get what he deserved. But just because it was a man that was your favorite character on TV, you know, Jared, the Subway man, we ain't heard nothing else about Jared.
That. Yeah, right.
I mean, niggas still came for R. Kelly. And we got proof.
Yo, like, seriously, it's scary to think that the president had a conference today. And part of what he talked about was, why did they wait so long to say something? Like, the president said
Right.
this, you know what I'm saying, expectation. And I was like, yo, this is the president.
Because they're in the same
He was
fraternity.
like, no, he was like, I know this man very well. He
And
was
it's-
like, and when you find out that the Democrats have just tricked you, this is a big con job.
They've been sneaking pussy together.
I was like,
I ain't gonna argue with that.
I didn't mean to say that.
Nah, you say it.
I'm just saying, but you know, they
I
probably,
wouldn't doubt it.
but my thing was, he said so many other things that have shifted society in so many ways. I can only imagine how these
Yo,
comments
if you
versus
looked
this Me Too
at some
movement.
of the memes,
Yeah.
I saw a meme today that really made me want to drive down to Alabama and fuck this dude up. Because it was on some no man is safe because women are accusing them of rape. I'm pretty sure if you don't rape somebody.
Yeah, how about
You
you're
don't get
being
accused.
held accountable
See,
for
here's the thing.
inappropriate conduct? Yes.
Here's the thing. Like, and what kills me the most about black people caping for Bill Cosby, they're like, well, you know, this white guy did it too. We know the justice system is set up
Come on,
to
man.
benefit white folks for the most part.
Right. This is not.
Here's the
justice is
thing.
not made for
So
us.
what you're telling me is that you don't want justice. You want privilege.
That's what it is.
You want the ability to do something egregious and not be held accountable for it. When did our community get like that?
When did that become equal opportunity?
Damn. That being said, man, fuck Bill Cosby. If you caping for Bill Cosby, fuck you.
Get that conversation.
And your
up,
mama?
nigga.
If you
Okay,
caping
sorry.
for R. Kelly, you got to be a sick motherfucker to cape for R. Kelly at this point, dog. Like, you really got to be sick as hell.
I still want to know who R. Kelly got dirt on.
Probably Bill.
Like, it's somebody still holding this nigga up. I don't know who. I don't know.
He got naked pictures of Barack or something.
Something.
Like, this is just ridiculous. There's no way there's literally no way in America that a black man that's done what, we just
Nope,
watched
nope.
Bill Cosby get away with it for 48
Yeah,
years.
look at
boss.
it though, man.
He hasn't affected any other race.
That's it.
And that's what I was
Kelly
going to get to that.
Crossed the racial line.
R. Kelly's victims typically are poor and black.
Yep.
That's right.
And if there's one
Without a
demographic in
voice.
this country that nobody gives a fuck about, it's
doesn't
poor
have a-
black women.
They
Yep.
don't have a voice, man. R. Kelly,
This
man.
is sick, bro.
That's why he called it, man, the Pied Piper.
Who led the kids away from the village, never to be seen again.
Come
This
on,
nigga
man.
literally trolled us. dog. It's sick. Like, how you still... Anyway, let's not go down the R. Kelly bag.
Fuck R. Kelly.
That being said, NCP, you got anything to close us out? What you want to tell the people before we get out of here?
Specifically to my ladies, like, be strong, try to make good decisions. Unfortunately, it is a reality. You can't say, I was planning on going out with my girls tonight, and I was gonna do some bald head hoe shit, but I wasn't gonna be like a ho ho. You know what I'm saying? Like we really can't. You gotta protect yourself, man. You gotta make good decisions. But I'm being serious. Because it really happens.
Yeah.
Like these girls, a lot of these women are going to parties, they're going to have fun, they're going to turn up. No, you're not necessarily going to have sex, but if you don't keep yourself in a good situation.
Cover your six, man.
Yeah. But
Watch
then
your back.
I believe it's a quote by, Zora Neale Hurston, I think, that says, if you're silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Damn,
You got to speak up.
That's exactly
You
what
got to
she
speak
said.
up.
My brother,
What's that?
what you got to say to close out?
To all my brothers out here,
Don't do it.
I'm just saying, this shit happens to us too, man. We
No,
gonna
it
start-
does. We haven't
does.
talked
We
about
don't-
that,
we
but
don't-
it really does.
It happens to us too.
Men, and the thing is, I think it's a shame thing there. That I don't think men. I think men don't report their sexual assaults, rapes, and even molestation because there's a shame that goes along with it. I mean, you
Yeah,
see
'cause
these priests are getting caught up. I mean, nobody has questioned these men that have come out 30 years later talking about these Catholic priests like that.
All right, so to
And,
all my
they're
brothers out
shamed.
here, man, look, protect your neck,
Yeah.
guard your balls.
Yeah.
Know your worth.
What I gotta say,
Not sex matter.
yo, it's time out. It's time out for letting this shit ride, yo. Like, if you're going to be a black man in America and you're going to be a black man who cares about his community in this country, then you have to A, protect black women, and B, hold black men accountable for their bullshit. It ain't no, man, he just talking. Ain't no, man, he cool. He just be doing this. Man, he blah, blah. Ain't no excuses no more, bruh. Like, ain't no, you no longer have an excuse to ignore your homeboys with their rapey ass tendencies.
Right.
You know good and well when your homeboys are, making women uncomfortable or doing some sideways shit. You know who it is. You know what it is. And if you don't check them, they're going to keep doing it. And eventually, like, to be perfectly honest, you can be caught up. My thing is, I say this all the time, and I believe it. If you condone sucker shit, you a sucker
You a
too.
sucker too.
Number one. And number two, birds of a feather flock together. So if you hanging around rapey ass niggas, you probably rapey as fuck too, just to be perfectly honest. And it's time to stop letting these women be scared around you, bruh. Like, stop. Bruh, all that, it's got to be painful to literally wake up every single day and have to look over your shoulder in the way they have to look over their shoulder and do things that they have to do. You have a certain amount of privilege knowing that you can go somewhere and do something and not have to worry about this or that happening to you, or a man assaulting you, or a man raping you, or a man doing this, that to you. There's a certain amount of privilege in that. And the reality of it is, you can't call yourself a man if you letting shit like this happen to women around you. If you making excuses for rapists, that's going to make me look at you sideways. That's going to make me think that you possibly have some rapey-ass interactions in your past that you're now trying to excuse for your own personal well-being and benefit. Full stop right there. That's what I'm thinking. That's how I'm looking at a lot of you cats sideways. I'm looking at y'all real funny style. Like, it's a lot of y'all I don't really fool with no more because you doing way too much caping for R. Kelly. You doing way too much caping for Bill Cosby. You buying into these fake conspiracy theories way too hard. Bruh, you literally can Google the deposition. I have the link right here on my phone. You can Google the deposition where he said, yes, I had Quaaludes that I had planned to give to women that I wanted to have sex with. Full stop. He said this out of his own mouth. You can literally Google the article from 1992 where he had formed a committee about buying NBC. Bill Cosby ain't got enough fucking money to buy NBC. Come on now, y'all cut it out. Knock it off. The reality of it is, if Bill Cosby wanted to actually do what he said he wanted to do and impact programming to have a positive effect on black folks, why is it that we have our own and don't have a Cosby network? And don't sit here and think that Bill Cosby didn't have the juice back then, because Bill Cosby was bigger than Oprah then in 92. Oh, yeah, he was. And we know this. And Philly and Chicago ain't that far apart. So we know Cosby had the juice to do it. But nah, he didn't do it. I wonder why. It wasn't because they had something on him. It was because that really wasn't his thing. And another thing, just because he made A Different World and The Cosby Show, he's an actor, like we said earlier. Stop it. Yo, y'all, you got to stop exposing. Your biases tell who you are. What you defend says more about your character than it does than anything else. You can sit here and tell me all day that I love our community and I love black women and I love black men and I love black children. But if you're excusing rapists and pedophiles in our community, you don't love us. You excuse them. We don't give them passes. The root of the stop snitching movement or the no talking to police movement in our communities was that certain crimes, we knew that it was better to handle it internally than hand them over to a justice system that we knew was racist and stacked against us as a people. But you know what was the exception to that rule? Rape, child molestation, murder. Think about that. And what are y'all making excuses for? Rape, child molestation, and the murder of the spirit of women across this country that have, for years, generations. Y'all gotta stop that shit, man. Let that shit go. Knock it off. Stop being rapey. Ugh. What's wrong with you motherfuckers? Anyway, that does it for us here at the Constantly Podcast. Also, before we get out of here, I want to tell y'all to be free. Be free from your rapey ass tendencies too. Y'all got anything else y'all want to say before I close out? Shit. Sorry. I'm on a tangent.
Yeah, shit, it's all good, man. Fall is coming up, man.
Brace yourselves.
Okay. Don't make them feel like you a victim because you got your gray sweatpants on, fellas.
All right, man. We done. We done.
We can wear our gray sweatpants.
We done.
Without being objectified.
Why you stupid?
I'm just saying, man.
Hey, we'll check y'all next week, man. Peace.
We out.
Bye-bye.